It's good to see everybody. Before I get started, I have a couple updates that I wanted to give you. As I reported last week about Josh Paschal and the skin lesions that he had removed from the bottom of his right foot. Well, I'm sorry to say that those came back as a malignant melanoma. So since those results came back, Josh had another procedure this past Wednesday, and we're waiting for those results to come back. So out of respect to his family, please, don't dive into this anymore. Josh wanted to be upfront with this. Josh and his family are handling it well. They wanted to be open about this, so there was no speculation. They also want this to be a reminder for people to pay close attention to any changes in their skin, and if so, have those evaluated. So, we are within our family, our football family, have been very supportive of Josh and his family, and they're very strong people, and they're doing the best they can in this situation, and we'll help Josh along the way. The second announcement I have is in regards to Coach John Slarman. He is also dealing with a health issue. He is undergoing additional testing to determine the nature of this issue. He is still coaching with us. Again, we want to be upfront, and I will keep you updated with this information as available. We appreciate your sensitivity to the privacy of Josh, John, and their families as they go through this process. So, again, John and Josh are very strong, very good people, two of the best people we have in our program. And our team will be supportive of them as they continue to battle through these health issues. And it's been a tough couple days in our program leading up to the beginning of camp here, but our hearts and prayers are with Josh and John as they battle this issue. I appreciate our training staff. They've done a remarkable job in the discovery of this and finding something on the bottom of Josh's foot and sent him to dermatology and so on, and they've taken it from there and discovered this. So I want to say the first, as I reported this about a week ago, at that time when they had that lesion removed, the doctors assumed that would be the end of the procedure, and that's when we sent that off, and it came back as melanoma. So we're waiting on other results to come back with both of these guys this week, and we will update you as I get that information. Okay? So just wanted to be upfront about that, as they will miss some time here and there. And so we, again, are sensitive to them and their families. Okay? So it's with a heavy heart that I opened that way, but I just felt the need. It's very important, and felt the need to address that with you all. As far as our football team is concerned, I'm very pleased with the work that they've done this summer. The guys have trained exceptionally hard. They're in great shape, and I appreciate our strength staff and our coaches and the work that they've done this summer. Our team is anxious to get started. We have some guys that have quite a bit of experience on both sides of the ball, and some talented players. And we're optimistic and excited and ready to get started here this week.
Question for Coach. Mark, you're a football coach, but you're also a human being, obviously. How do you Mark realize this news with the task you have ahead of you as far as the season?
Well, I think, of course, we're very close to both of those families, and spend time with the families this week, and we'll continue to do that. And we will be supportive and be a family. just much like you would, and we'll be there for them any way we can be, but we'll continue to do the work that we have to do, and they both want it that way.
Way before you knew any of this news back in the summer, as I understand, you rode a bus back from Washington, D.C. all night one night, and it felt it was important to go watch Josh and E.J. get baptized the morning after you got here.
Yeah.
Looking back, are you even happier now that you did that? And why
Yeah.
did you decide to do that?
I definitely do. I think that's just, again, the human side of you and the personal relationships that you have with these players, and yeah, that's part of it. And my neck was all banged up coming back from D.C. for 13 hours on a bus, but it was important because it's an important part of their life. And in hindsight, yeah, I'm glad I did it, certainly. And being there and just supporting them any way I can.
Coach, you lost one of the great kickers of all time in Kentucky,
Yeah.
in Austin McGinnis. How's the kicking game looking this year, as Coach Claiborne used to say?
Yeah, we're excited. Miles has been very reliable, as you know, through the years. Back a couple years ago when Austin was hurt, he did some kicking for us. He filled in punting last year and did a very good job. And so Miles will have a good opportunity, and of course Chance Poor with him coming in, freshman with a very strong leg. So we'll see how that plays out through camp. But definitely, Austin was a great player for us and very reliable.
Mark, what do you expect to see from Dorian Baker this year?
Yeah, I'd like to see Dorian get back, in form. He hasn't played for a long time. He hasn't been full go in a long time. Of course, he's gone through spring and gone through the summer workouts, but he hasn't played in a game in some time. So, we expect to use this camp to get him game ready.
Coach, one more thing. Your defensive tackles.
Mm-hmm.
I watched him play for a long time here in Kentucky. It looks like this is the strongest tackles I've seen in a long time here.
Yeah, I feel good. These guys have played. They have some experience. We have the addition of a few new guys like Phil Hoskins. Adrian Middleton's played for a long time. You've heard me talk about Quentin Bohanna. I'm very excited about Quentin and what he brings in the middle of our defense at nose. And Adrian's played a lot of football. Of course, we had moved Josh inside, and when he's back, he'll play inside. And T.J. Carter's played a lot of football for us in there. And Calvin Taylor, and there's a bunch of guys. You're right. We're fairly deep in there. Cordell Looney's had a good summer as well. So, Tamir DeBose did some good things in the bowl game. Hopefully, he'll continue to do that as well.
You go to Cash Daniels, right? The broadcast games at Paintsville, Harlan, up in there.
Mm-hmm.
Cash Daniels is playing well.
Cash has done a very good job. I've talked a lot about it in the spring. I was just very pleased with the way he's taken charge of the defense. He's passionate about it. There's no doubt about that. He's going to give you everything he has. But he has good command of the defense. He's playing very well, playing very confident, and I'm excited about Cash.
The guys behind Cash, you've got a lot of talented young linebackers, DeAndre Square and Chris Oates. What do they bring, and how do you get them involved in the defense? Do you kind of throw them into the fire, or do you try to ease them in?
Well, I think there's going to be some of both. I think that, as we go along and we see how Jordan comes back and how his shoulder is and how he's feeling, and Jamin Davis, we're excited about him as well, and DeAndre, and Chris Oates is, he has everything. When you just physically see him and you see him moving around, you see the athleticism in him. And of course, you heard me talk about DeAndre through the spring because we were very, very pleased with him, the type of football player he is. So we're excited about those guys, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, if they're, we have a lot of practices, so we'll just see how they come along.
The Mike and Will, are they fairly interchangeable, or is it a lot to learn?
They are. I mean, there's definitely some nuances. As they get older, it's easier to bounce them back and forth. Early, it's kind of hard, so we'll try to lock them in place early on.
How much is that going to be aided with Courtney Love being on staff, kind of tutoring those young guys?
No, I think it doesn't hurt. I mean, Courtney, he played it, he understands, and that's real important at times because there may be things that were difficult for him to figure out. And maybe he could relay it a different way and just spend some time with those guys and see it through a different set of eyes. It always helps.
Mark, Alex King and Jordan Wright, two guys you talked about a lot at this time. last year, then they redshirted. What are you expecting from them this year?
Yeah, we're excited about those guys still. Alex is still playing inside, and he has the ability to play outside as well. So we'll see how he progresses at inside linebacker. We know he's natural at outside as well, so we'll see where he goes. And with Jordan Wright, we're very excited about him. You know, he's putting on a lot of weight. He's explosive. He's very athletic. You know, coming out of high school, he was a phenomenal basketball player. He moves around in space. He's a good player. So we just got to continue, you know, to develop him, and we got quite a few practices here to get him game ready as well.
With Kendall Rudolph moving on,
Randolph, yeah. Randolph, yeah, that's right.
Mike Edwards playing the slot corner a lot. Do you expect with the veterans you have in your cornerback group to put him more at safety, or do you think you'll put him even more at slot corner?
We like him at nickel. The nickel position is active. You know, it's difficult man matchups at times, and then it also gives you the opportunity to create some plays with blitzing them and things like that. So if you've been in here for a while, you've heard me talk about that position. The nickel, there's a lot of little nuances to it, and it takes a guy with good instincts, good feel, and a good player. It's important to have that guy at nickel. So we like Mike at nickel, but he's interchangeable. He could play either safety position or nickel with no problem, and he likes jumping in there once in a while corner as well.
Mark, we miss Freddie Maggard on this side of the podium. How has your relationship changed with him now that he's friend rather than foe?
I quit yelling at him. No, it's good to have Freddie. He's done a very good job. He's, as I mentioned earlier, I thought about that for some time, and I just felt like, as I just talked about the nickelback position, that position also is very unique, with that, because you have to wear a lot of hats, and Freddie can do that. He's done a very good job so far. He works extremely hard, and I'm glad to have him. It just goes to show you I'm not sensitive, because he has said some things about me through the years too, and I come back and hire him out of nowhere. So I'm not as sensitive as you guys are.
Still saying
No, he's changed his tune a little bit. Yeah.
Considering none of your quarterbacks have game experience, do you expect to play both those guys early in the season?
Right now, John, I do, but you don't know how that's going to play out. You've heard me say, I'm honest about it, that I think at that position, you get a good feel for what you have, but until you get to a game, you're not exactly 100% sure. And that's not different at many places, not different, in the NFL, in my opinion. Till those guys get under center and get playing and in those game reps, you're a bit unsure. I think it's fair to both of those guys to give them an opportunity because it's very close at this time.
With the new redshirt rule, how do you have a plan for that, or just gonna see how it develops, or?
Yeah, I'm going to see how it goes there, John. Because each year, sometimes you come with a guy that jumps out of the blocks and you feel like he's definitely going to play, and then he may level out. Sometimes there's injuries late in the year, as I mentioned before, much like the punting situation a year ago. But there's times like that all the time where we may get thin as the year goes on, and the guy has developed over the course of the season. So we will just play it out and see how it goes. There's still going to be some freshmen, I'm sure, that are going to impress us, and they're going to play, all 12 games, 13 games, or 14 games. So they're going to, we'll just wait and see how we need to do that.
Speaking of punting, how's that situation shaping up?
Yeah, the punting situation, with Max coming in, Max was impressive in the spring and did a very good job. He's the type of guy that's talented. He's still learning some American football, but he's got a strong leg and he's talented as far as the things he could do and rolling and moving. So we like Max, and Grant is continuing to punt as well. So we'll see, but at this point, coming out of spring, Max had won the job.
Mark, does the redshirt rule change the way you have to use your scout team in terms of continuing to prepare guys?
Pardon me?
Does the redshirt rule change the way you use the scout team in terms of you have to continue to prepare guys in the game plan each week in case you might need them, or can you?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, without going through it, that it will be different. And I will say, we have done that in years past, even with pulling guys up off the scout team and practicing with us just because we hadn't had the bodies. We may, if we have a Sam and a Jack, we know we're going to move the Jack to Sam and so on, and just bring up the fourth guy just to get some reps and get them practicing with us. So we've done that each year, so I'm not sure how much that'll alter that way.
Mark, have you ever gone through a situation, I had a situation where you had say a short field goal kicker and a long field goal kicker?
I haven't been a part of that, but I've seen it before, and we're open to anything, anything that's going to help us win. So we'll see.
Mark, if John would have to miss significant time, have you kind of shift staff around to take care of
Yeah, we have plenty of guys. That's the nice thing about our staff is we have a lot of guys that are capable of doing that, and guys with background there. And of course, Coach Graham can coach all the positions, so we'll handle it just fine within our program.
Do you anticipate him missing a lot of time, or?
I'd rather not speculate on any of that at this time for John and Leanne and their family. So.
When Mitch was in here, he was talking about the difference in size that he sees in your team. How does that translate in a game? Do you substitute less? Do you feel like you can use a different kind of approach?
Well, I think it's important, you know that as we've been here in recruiting and the length and the size, it's important. That's the league we play in. You have to be good across the board. We all know that, but it's definitely a big man's game. If you're getting pushed around, then really you got no chance. It's definitely still at the line of scrimmage. I mean, the statistics prove it. I mean, I've told you guys this before, but if you outrush your opponent by 1 yard, it's a high percentage of winning in conference games. So rushing the football and stopping the run are very important factors to winning games. And also as you look around this league and you go line up and play some of these guys, you see the size at the skill positions, and that's what I'm excited about. We're starting to get that. Of course, in our secondary, we're freaky big. Our corners are very, very long, very big, physical guys. So I think it's important to have big guys at the skill positions as well.
Mark, you're very intentional about getting the players, the coaches, your staff together at social events. We've seen the famous tweets from your pool parties. There was a dunking pool booth this summer. How do you think that plays into wins on the football field, or is that just a part of who you are?
No, I think it's important both ways. I think, yes, it's definitely who I am, and the relationship piece of it is very important to me. And I think it also correlates to wins and losses. There's no question. And, I think that's the key point you made there is intentional about it, because it's such a big operation at times. There's so many people. I've mentioned that to you before. When I was in my own room and coaching the secondary and coaching the defense, it was very easy to get your arms around those people. As you have a huge organization, it's hard, and so you need to be intentional about that and bringing guys together. And I think our team has done a wonderful job. Our staff has done a wonderful job. Mitch and our administration is very supportive of those things. The things we're allowed to do with bringing guys in and grilling steaks on the grill and bringing them to our home and things like that. It's very important.
Last year, the early part of the season, the offensive line had some moving parts. Bad snaps, you had to put Drake in here. Having that O-line look pretty solid right now, going into the season.
Definitely helps us. As you know, we felt going into last year, much like the year before, we had played, 9 guys, coming into last year. And so we felt like, we could roll right into that, and as you know, it didn't translate that way, and losing John Toth was a big factor heading into last year. So yes, I like the fact of having Drake back, and he's only a sophomore and played very good football for us, really kind of anchored us there. There's very talented, experienced players around him, and those guys are very good players, and we're excited about the offensive line as a whole, and now we can continue to maybe bring that depth along that we were looking for at the beginning of last year. Go ahead, you're good.
Drake's still one of the younger guys amongst that group up front, but he seems to have really taken a leadership role.
He does. He's a guy that it's very important to him. he wants, if, we knew that recruiting him since 9th, 10th grade, the game is important to him. He works extremely hard, and he's intentional about it, and he still is. So he wants to help the football team any way he can, and leadership as well.
On the offensive line, do you think Landon Young's ready to take that jump into the upper echelon or even the elite of the SEC on the offensive line?
We'll see. I've very rarely, if ever, said a bad thing about Landon. He gives us everything he has. He's talented. As he gets older, he gets more mature, he gets more physical, gets more confidence. Landon's a very good football player, and again, one of those guys that really does everything, tries as hard as he can in everything he does.
Coach, this year it looks like it's a pretty good football year in the state of Kentucky in high school.
Mm-hmm.
From what I see, I do games in Eastern Kentucky,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks like it's pretty good. I mean, it's spring, and it looks like several kids would come out that hadn't come out before. It looks like a pretty good crop.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to talk about anybody specifically, but the state, is always important to us, and it fluctuates. I think, as I've said many times, I think the quality is always very good here. The quantity is not as many as other states, but there's always very good, top-of-the-line players here.
Mark, it is Media Day. After all, what's your favorite Media Day type question, or least favorite Media Day question?
Wow, that one? Yeah, probably that question right there. It's all good. I mean, obviously starting, the media day with a heavy heart, with the announcements that I had to make, is not fun because you have a personal attachment to these folks and you feel for what they're going through. But the other side of that is the team has worked exceptionally hard and the staff's worked exceptionally hard, and we're excited about this year.
Mark, how hard is it not to overuse Benny?
I don't think that's too hard. He can handle it. And as the other guys progress like they're progressing, then they deserve the opportunity to play as well. So that will play out. It's hard. He's a guy that this past year he's hard to take off the field, because he's going to get you the tough yards. But again, as Saheem and AJ develop, I'm very pleased with what they're doing. And we always tell kids, make us play you. If they're doing really good things, then we want to play them.
Is he ever happy if you take him off?
No, Benny. He doesn't want to come out of the game. He wants to put the team on his shoulders, and you love that mentality, and that's good with us.
Mark, Benny has a realistic chance to become the all-time leading rusher of Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you want to see happen, or do you have to manage that because you don't want to overuse it?
I would like to see that happen, but we're not going to change anything for that. That's unfair to Benny and unfair to our team. We don't want to, go out intentionally trying to do that. We have an opportunity and obligation to develop all the players on our team, and we're going to do that. And, our team, individually will get the recognition they deserve if we do good as a team. It's always team first. It will always be that way. And but individually, you want to see kids get what they deserve, but not at the expense of the program.
If you look at the number of snaps and tempo, last year the formula for winning was kind of ball security and lean on a strong kicking game. With the uncertainty at quarterback and special teams, how much do you foresee kind of the way that you have to win games changing this year?
We don't know yet. It changes every year. As you said, we're breaking in new quarterbacks, so we don't know, how that's going to play out. We may, go out there this year and with the addition of some wide receivers and the emergence of some wide receivers, feel the need to throw the ball around a lot more. You don't know how it's going to play out. We want to be a balanced offense. We want to improve in the areas that we need improvement in. And part of that is the passing games at times. So we all want improvement in that area.
Eddie has talked about being more explosive with those young wide receivers. Do you have any players in mind who can do that?
Well, I think, Josh Ali, Isaiah Epps are guys that really, did some good things, we think, at the end of spring and through this summer. Obviously, Lynn having a second year, Dorian Baker coming back is big, Taven going into his senior year. So those are some guys that really need to step up.
How much do you think it helps going up against experienced, big defensive backs that you've had in the second year?
I think it helps. It definitely helps because depending on who you're playing and the style that they're playing, I mean, as I've mentioned, in here, you watch the games, there's no space out there. You got to earn your space at wide receiver. And what I mean by that is they got to create their opportunities, their grass, their, getting open. And it's hard to do at times. And, there's one thing about it is, one of the reasons why at times it wasn't like it's not real easy to just dink and dunk and throw the ball around. Nobody plays that way anymore defensively. They take everything away at all times. So you have to create your space, and it takes a strength and a maturity to be able to do that.
I was talking to Vince earlier. He said that this is the best defense you've had since you've been here. I mean, would you agree?
Well, it should be, because there's been times we've had some pro defensive linemen, but maybe not the second and third level. If you just look at the defense as an entirety, it's definitely the strongest since we've been here. We have to go prove it and play better than we have and be more consistent. We've done good at times. We need to be more consistent.
How close is Jordan Jones to being full strength and what you need to see?
Yeah, he's ready to go. The first 2 days, because of we're not allowed to have shoulder pads on and they can't strap his shoulder down, will be a little bit hit and miss. After that, he should be good to go.
You guys are one of the senior-laden secondaries in the country, so how much do you feel the need to get some younger guys on the field to prepare for that next year?
I do feel the need for that development and bringing guys along and playing them and recruiting them. So it is important because I do think about year 2 and year 3 after this at all positions, and that certainly is a concern because we need to get some guys and bring them along here.
Mark, it's said that this tight end group is the most talent that he's had since he's been here. Obviously,
Yeah.
TJ and Justin have been here a while, but what do you think Keaton Upshaw and Brendan Bates will bring to this group?
Well, they're big guys. They're big guys and they could run. And they're the type of guys we're looking for because they're good line of scrimmage tight ends. They could put their hand in the dirt, and they could get off and use them as the Y off or the fullback as well. But it's important to have those point of attack guys, and that's what all of them are. That's the good part about it. Is we have 4 tight ends that are could put their hand down and be physical, and also stretch the field and give them a big target.
Traditionally, people think of the quarterback being the leader of the offense, but with inexperienced guys at that position, and you've got a lot of experienced guys around them, how much is leadership a factor in the quarterback battle?
It's always a factor. Your quarterback needs to be a leader, and these guys are. But you're right in that, you've heard me talk often about defending the quarterback because people around them have to play better. And that's why, we have confidence in going into this fall because we have faith in the quarterbacks, that whoever's going to win that job, whoever's going to be under center and playing, we have faith in them, and we feel strong around them. And those guys have to play well, So, again, you've heard me talk about, you've watched football, you've seen balls go up in the air, and dudes come down with it and making spectacular plays and great catches, and we have to have some of that. You have to make some great individual plays at times.
Is there a fine line about the pace of the offense? Eddie has said before, we want to go fast, we want to do this, we want to do that. But for the quarterbacks, not to slow the game down for them and not get too fast.
It just depends. There's been times when we've gone at a pretty good clip, and there's been times when we've been methodical, and that's been the best way. There's been times when I've been in Eddie's ear about going fast, and he's just been methodical, thinking things through and setting things up, and it's been very effective. You don't game to game, year to year, and we'll see how it plays out. But we'll have a little both. We'll be able to go fast, and we'll be able to be methodical as well.
How often are you in Eddie's ear about going fast?
Not often. Not often, but there's been times. Yeah, there's been times. Yeah.
All right.
So.
Everybody good?
Okay.